and gentlemen, boys and girls, and assembled company, welcome to the World Storytelling Cafe. And it is Friday at some time of the day, sometime, somewhere in this big, wide, wound world. And because it is Friday, it is Stories for Children. And because it is Stories for Children, we have tonight the amazing, the fantastic, the phantasmagorical Chip Colquhoun.
Yay, you pronounced it correctly!
Right. Hands together. Hello, Louis. Big round of applause. Pauline in Scotland, Donald Nelson in Scotland, Baba Stian in wherever you are, DC, and Ali where's that place? Marrakesh, somewhere in North Africa, right, man? It's in the wonderful World Storytelling Cafe in Marrakesh. Andrea, I'm not sure where you are, but no doubt you will tell us. But right now, I'm going to hand over to Chip. Chip, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much, John. It is so good to be back here at the World Storytelling Cafe in front of all of you. And I know some of the names that John missed there. We've got a Molly hiding somewhere. We've got a Molly and is that a raccoon? No? Bear? Tiger?
This is my red panda called Rojo.
Oh, it's a red panda?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Do you know, I know a story with a red panda in it.
Oh!
We could have a story with a red panda in it, couldn't we?
Yes.
I mean, given that it's like the World Storytelling Cafe, that would make perfect sense, really, wouldn't it? And we've got Adela here, popping up in the chat, Baba C has just said "Hujambo" to everybody to give me a pronunciation challenge, just like my surname gave John. But I'm getting high fives, or a high 10 even. It must have been good. So welcome everybody. If you are watching this on YouTube or on Facebook, that's absolutely fine. It's good to see you there. But if you're watching it between 6 and 7 o'clock on a Friday, why would you be there? Why not go to worldstorytellingcafe.com, where you can click the little join story button and you can be right in here with us right now, because this is where we want you to be. I can see you, or at least I can see your names in some cases. You can even do what Molly and Pauline did just then, take yourself off mute and say hello and introduce me to someone like Rojo. Did I pronounce that right? Yeah, okay, I'm getting a nod from Rojo and a thumb from Pauline. Rojo the red panda is here with us in the World Storytelling Cafe. And yes, I am Chip Colquhoun, which is a lot easier to say than it sounds. And I'm here to share some stories with you. So the first thing I need to do is find the kind of stories we are going to be telling. And we've already had a red panda join us on the call. And I think I need to think about this, because Molly, I think you actually already know my story that's got a red panda in it, don't you? I think it was in the book that I sent you, wasn't it? Was it? The jungle story one. So I'm going to have to ask you then, Molly, because you're the one in charge now. You've got the responsibility of telling us whether you want to share that story with everybody, so everybody gets to find out who the real king of the jungle is, or whether you want to have something completely different. What would you like?
Okay, go on.
Same story.
Same story. You want to?
She did like it.
So does Rojo not know the story yet? Have you not read it to Rojo?
Story?
He hasn't had it read to him yet, no.
Rojo hasn't heard the story of the real king of the jungle. Okay, in that case, I'm going to share the story. Molly has very kindly agreed that I can share the story of the real king of the jungle with everybody here. And I'm going to start by asking, and obviously, Molly, you know the answer to this, but everybody else, who do you think the real king of the jungle is? If you hear the phrase, king of the jungle, who is it?
The lion.
The lion, says Baba, straight away.
The lion, of course.
A
Of the
red
lion,
ant.
of course, says
A
Donald.
red ant, I think.
The red ant.
I'd be lying if I didn't say it was the lion.
The lion, yeah, I'm getting the majority vote seems to be lion. John, when you say red ant, I think you're probably thinking the real king of the desert, really. Is that not where the red ant struts its stuff? Maybe.
I think ants are everywhere.
That's
ants-
true, yeah. Ants
Yeah,
are probably.
they appear out of rotting logs in the jungle and so forth.
That's true. That's true. And in fact, they probably could be called the king of the universe, because I bet there are ants on places like Mars and the moon somewhere. I mean, Lewis, you look like you've been to the moon or Mars. Have you have you seen any ants there?
No.
No? Okay. But I'm sure there must be some elsewhere in the universe. I mean, they have 6 legs. You've got to be able to get around if you've got 6 legs. Babasi has also pointed out Simba! Simba, of course, the Lion King. We've got a whole film to tell us who the king of the jungle is, haven't we? Except, hold on a minute. If you watch The Lion King, is that set in a jungle? I know a little bit of it is. But when Simba goes into the jungle, he's not the king there, is he? He goes in to meet Timon and Pumbaa, and he eats the ants and things like that. So that's not Simba being the king of the jungle. You see, this is a very common mistake. A lot of people think that the lion is king of the jungle, but really, the lion is the king of the savannah. Hands down, he is the king of the savannah. If you go into the jungle, though, lion is pathetic. He's nowhere near the same size as the lion that you'll find on the savannah. In fact, the reason why a lot of people think the lion is the king of the jungle, and this is a side story. This isn't the story I'm going to tell you in a moment, but this is like a side story. There was a time when some people were going through one of the jungles just on the edge of India, and this lion burst out at them. And because it looked bigger than them, and because it had all of that hair around its mane, and because it had those big teeth and it had those big claws, it basically looked like John Rowe on a bad hair day. They got so scared, they turned and they ran away, and they said to everybody, "The lion is the king of the jungle." But really, all that lion was desperate for was a brush to tame its horrible mane, in exactly the same way that John often needs a good brush, and he'll often come to us at Glastonbury and say, "You've got a brush. I really desperately need a brush. I can't go into the kids' field tent until I've had a proper brush from my beard and my hair." That's exactly what the lion was trying to say. So you see, the lion had this reputation for the real king of the jungle. But actually, if you had gone into the jungle and asked any of the animals, they would have told you who their king really, really was. And they probably would have told you this story to explain it. You see, a very, very long time ago, there was a leopard in the jungle whose name was Tendue. And Tendue had a huge appetite. He was the largest cat in the jungle, and his appetite was probably 6 or 7 times larger than he was. In the morning for breakfast, he would look around and he would see some of the antelope there in the jungle, and he would go and catch those antelope really quickly with a swish of his claws, a swoop of his body, and down it would go inside him. I probably got that in the wrong order, didn't I, Molly? Probably it was a swoop, and then a swish, and then a chomp, chomp, chomp. That makes much more sense, doesn't it? So help me out with this. If Tendue's ever going for anything, you need to help me out. Give me a swoop, and a swish, and a chomp, chomp, chomp. That's it. Roso, you can do it too, although I must admit, you would probably be Tendue's mid-morning snack. So I'm really sorry, Rojo, but you probably would be. He would have maybe 1 or 2 red pandas, maybe a loris as a mid-morning snack to get him from breakfast to lunch. And again, he would catch them with a swoop and a swish and a chomp, chomp, chomp. I've got everybody here in the World Storytelling Cafe helping me remember the proper order there. So thank you ever so much. For lunch, he would have something much bigger to satiate his appetite. Something like, what's the biggest animal you can think of in the jungle? Something really, really huge. Something absolutely massive. Maybe something that waved its arm in front of its nose like Pauline's doing. What? Your hands up, Lewis. What do you want to say?
It's one of my favourite animals in my time to life. It's
Yeah?
an elephant.
An elephant's one of your favourite animals?
Yes, it is.
Oh, well, I'm really sorry to have to tell you this, Lewis, but Tendaway would eat an elephant for lunch. Gobble up an entire elephant. And that would be its lunch. Then, of course, he'd want to have afternoon tea. And for afternoon tea, he might again have something a little bit smaller, like maybe a python or an alligator. And each time, of course, catching it with a... come on, folks. Oh, thank you, John. Yep, a swoop and a swish and a chomp, chomp, chomp. And then, of course, he'd need to have dinner. And for dinner, he would have 3 antelope, or maybe 3 elephants, or maybe even 3 crocodiles. He wouldn't be able to get enough, and that means he'd be having to catch them with a swoop, swoop, swoop. Well, no, that wouldn't work, would it? It'd be a swoop, swoop, swoop. There we go, that's better. And a swish, swish, swish. And then a chomp, 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 chomp. And about leopards, if you know anything about leopards, is that they probably won't finish all of their food all at once. They tend to hang them on trees so that they can go back for seconds later. And that meant, because Tendaway was having so much food, that the whole jungle began to reek of rotting meat hanging from the trees. And that meant there were huge amounts of flies coming in and getting up people's noses and in people's ears. Yeah, you'd be doing a lot of that, Babasi. You'd be wanting to knock them off. And of course, if he was eating all of the elephants and the giraffes and creatures like that, well, then there weren't so many animals able to trim the trees. So the trees were beginning to get really, really heavy and lean over a little bit more. And there weren't as many antelope or red pandas to eat the grass. So the grass was becoming really, really long and difficult to move through. Now, Rojo, you'll know that you don't just eat grass, do you? You like to eat the bugs too. And because there weren't so many red pandas or lorises around, there were even more bugs. I think the ants probably were vying to be king of the jungle because there were so many of them. If they'd got their act together and you know, either had an election or something, they probably would have had an ant become the king of the jungle because there was now so many of them. And it was becoming really, really difficult to move through the jungle. In fact, the whole jungle was starting to die. There weren't enough spaces for new trees to grow. There weren't enough spaces for new plants to go. The sun was getting blocked from reaching the ground because of all of the leaves. It all looked terrible. And so right at the very start of this story, Elephant blew her trumpet. Now, Lewis, if elephant is your favourite animal, I bet you can make a brilliant elephant trumpet noise. Could you reckon you could do that for us? Could you do an elephant trumpet noise? Go for it. Take yourself off mute. Give us a blast. That is amazing. You're getting a huge round of applause from everybody here at the World Storytelling Cafe. Thank you so much, Lewis. I don't think I could have done that at all as well. Not even if I had a trumpet. That was fantastic. Thank you very much. And of course, with a trumpet that sounded like that, of course all of the animals were going to come to it. Partly because it was so loud, partly because it was so beautiful, and partly because they knew if Elephant was calling them, it had to be something important. So they all gathered round. And Elephant said to them all, folks, the jungle is dying. The jungle is dying, and it's definitely going to end up completely collapsing in on itself unless we do something about Tendaway. And Monkey immediately snapped and said, well, what are we going to do? What can we possibly do? I mean, you're huge. You are huge. So why don't you go and stomp it down? Why don't you go and just stomp down Tendaway? But of course, Elephant had to say that Elephant was too large, too slow, too cumbersome. Tendaway was far faster, far too sharp for it. Then, of course, Monkey turned to the lion and the crocodile and said to them, well, you've got the right teeth. Why don't you go and attack Tendaway? Why don't you take him down? But Lion and Crocodile pointed out that because Tendaway had been eating so much, they were actually really, really hungry. So they were now weak and pathetic compared to Tendaway, whose muscles were huger than Donald's. You know, they were absolutely massive. Oh, there we go. We got Donald showing his muscles off to everybody else in the storytelling cafe. Nice attempt, Baba C, but you don't cut it, I'm afraid. And of course, then they turn to some of the smaller animals, like Loris and like Red Panda, and like, well, surely if you ganged up, you would be able to take him down. I mean, we've got Rojo here. Rojo's a red panda who looks like he can be pretty fearsome sometimes. I bet if you try to get Rojo to go to bed early, he can be pretty fearsome. But again, they just didn't have the right equipment to be able to take Tendaway down. They didn't have the right sort of teeth. They were used to eating little bugs. They couldn't fight something like that. What about the antelope or the bison? They had these massive horns that they could use to take him down, surely. But again, Tendaway was far too fast for them, far too nimble, and again, massively strong. Elephant had to blow her trumpet again to stop the animals arguing because they kept trying to force each other to give it a go. So again, Lewis, I'm going to have to ask you to give that trumpet just to shut all of the animals up and give them another good focal point for the discussion. Can you do that for us, Lewis? Perfect. Thank you ever so much. And Elephant, after they had all calmed down a bit, said, it doesn't matter, everybody. I have a plan. I have a plan for a way we can save the jungle. And Elephant explained her plan to all of the creatures there. And it made them very nervous. They didn't really like it. But at the end of the day, they had to save the jungle, didn't they? They had to save the jungle, because if the jungle died, well, they would all die. So eventually Elephant managed to get them all agreed. And now they had to call Tendaway and get Tendaway to come to them. Okay, Lewis, could you give us another trumpet sound to get Tendaway coming along on his way? Sorry to disappoint you. I know you weren't expecting to do so much hard work, but if you wouldn't mind giving us just... It's okay, is it? Oh, thank you. One more trumpet then. And Tendaway was roused from his midday nap and started making his way towards the jungle. And because he's got a little way to come, this is just another perfect opportunity for me to say, if you are watching this on YouTube or the Facebook page for the World Storytelling Cafe, and it's between 6 and 7 p.m. on Friday evening in the UK, why are you there? Why don't you go to worldstorytellingcafe.com, click on the little join story button and be here with us right now? Because then, you never know, you might be in time to join us just as Tendaway arrives. No, you'll be too late. But if you can get in here, then you'll be able to find out what happens. So Tendaway arrived there and saw all of the animals. I mean, he probably thought in that moment that he'd found a restaurant that delivers, because literally all of the animals were there. They were sitting ducks for him, really. But Elephant said to him that they had something really important to discuss. Because, of course, it looked like, because of Tendaway's appetite, the whole jungle ecosystem was collapsing. The whole jungle was going to die. But Tendaway just sat back and said, this is none of my problem. My only problem is what I'm going to have for dinner. And I'm looking at you, Bison. Bison gave a little gulp there. But Elephant pointed out that these were actually both exactly the same problem. Because if the jungle died, then there wouldn't be any food for Tendaway, would there? It's logic, isn't it? If there's no jungle, there's no food. What's Tendaway going to eat then? And that made Tendaway stop and think for a moment. Because, yeah, if he didn't get his food in the jungle, he might have to move to somewhere else, like the savannah. And then he'd have to take on the big lions that really were the king over there. Or we might have to move to the other side of India, closer to China, where the tigers were. And I don't know if you've seen a tiger, but they are the biggest cats in the world. So that would have been terrifying. He certainly wouldn't have been able to take on a tiger. So Tendaway realized it probably was in his interest to listen to what the animals had to say. This was Elephant's plan. Every single morning, the animals were going to gather together and pick some straws. And whoever got the shortest straw was going to go to the largest tree down by the river, and they would sacrifice themselves for Tendaway to eat. Because Tendaway would then just be able to sit around all day down by the tree, he shouldn't need more than one animal a day. I mean, let's face it, a lot of the appetite that Tendaway got came from the fact that several times a day he was having to go swoop and, thank you Pauline, swish and chomp, chomp, chomp. Yes, thank you, Beba C. Yes, that's exactly what he was having to do. That was taking so much of his energy that, yeah, of course he would go out and get some more food. So if he just sat down by the river, lazing around all day, then one animal came to him, it would be really efficient. He would be able to just gobble up his food right there and then, and that would be all he would need. And that would allow the rest of the jungle to get back to normal. Tendaway listened to this idea. And he said, all right, I'll go with this on 2 conditions. Number 1, you send 3 animals each day. Now that immediately made Elephant start to interrupt, but Tendaway held up a paw, which had claws coming out of it, and pointed out that 1 of those animals will be for me to eat. The second one will be to give me a nice clean. If you want me to save energy, I can't go bathing myself, can I? I will need one of you to give me a nice scrub down and keep me clean. And the third animal will be to entertain me in some way. Maybe to sing me a song or tell me a story, something like that. If I'm going to be lazing around all day, I can't be running around making my own entertainment. You will have to do that. Send me 3 animals, or the jungle gets it. Well, the animals looked at each other and they thought, that actually wasn't a bad condition, was it, really? I mean, any of us here would be able to do that. You'd be able to sing a song, wouldn't you, Donald? Not when you're drinking your tea, obviously. But you'd be able to tell us a story, wouldn't you, Lewis? Yeah, you'd certainly be able to tell a story, wouldn't you, Adela? Yeah, definitely. Okay, well then, that was an okay condition. So then Elephant asked what the second condition was. And the second condition was, don't you be late. If any one of you is a second after midday, I will gobble up the lot of you. The whole jungle will die, and it will be your fault. Well, the animals couldn't really argue with that either, but Elephant assured Tendaway they would not be late. Every single one of them were desperate to save the jungle, so of course they wouldn't be late. And with that, Tendaway went down to the river to keep going until he found the tallest tree to settle down and make himself that lovely little nest. Stretch and relax, just like Babassee's doing. Yeah, Babassee's really getting into the character of Tendaway. But you've usually got the appetite, haven't you, Babassee? And all of the other animals went off to their own homes, waiting for the next day, knowing that one of them, at random, was going to end up giving themselves over to Tendaway, so he could go swoop, and then swoosh, and last of all, so the first day after the meeting, the animals drew their straws. And the one who had the shortest straw was Bison. Bison was going to go and be eaten by Tendaway that day. But Bison's response was, well, it's for the good of the jungle. The animal with the next shortest straw was... Can I get a drum roll from someone? I'm getting a drum roll from everybody. Fantastic. Let's get a drum roll from everybody. The animal with the next shortest straw was... Red Panda. Red Panda had the icky job of going to clean Tendaway's sweaty fur. That's what you're going to have to do. Do you know, I don't know what's worse. Rojo, maybe you can tell us. What do you think is worse? Getting eaten by Tendaway or having to clean under that stinky leopard's sweaty armpits? What would you rather do?
I'd rather clean. I know what be eat.
Oh, you'd rather clean. Okay, so life is bearable even if it smells disgusting. I suppose you can always stick something up your nose, can't you? Yeah. And the animal that drew the final of the shorter straws, the third shortest. Does that make sense? I don't know. We're getting a drumming sound now, so I better get on with it, hadn't we? The third animal was Antelope. Antelope was going to go and sing a song. Oh, Mike has brought a bunny along. Bunny may end up. Well, Bunny's already scarpered now, but oh no, Bunny's back. Hello, Bunny. But never know, Bunny. Tomorrow you may end up getting one of those straws. This time though, it was Antelope, and Antelope began hoping that Tendaway liked her song. So off went these three animals across the jungle to find that tall tree by the river. And of course, for Bison and Antelope, their hooves were especially adapted to the bumpy ground of the jungle, so they were able to really easily make their way there. They were... So I've just seen Babassee's comments in the chat. He's pointed out that Bison has a tender way to go. Thinking tender as in tender meat. Yeah, and Tendaway the leopard. Yeah, a lot of people here in the World Storytelling Cafe have their heads in their hands right now. And if you're sitting there on YouTube or Facebook with your head in your hands, and it's between 6 and 7 o'clock on Friday evening in the UK, why? Why have you got your head in your hands there when you could have your head in your hands here in the World Storytelling Cafe? Go to worldstorytellingcafe.com, click on Join Story, come and be amongst all of the friends here enjoying this story. Where was I? Oh yeah, we were going down to see Tendaway, weren't we? Oh, and Red Panda had to get there too. And Red Panda's nice and small, so able to scuffle through all of those falling trees and all of those low branches there in the jungle. So none of them were going to be late. They all were there well before midday. And for Bison, of course, the last thing that Bison saw was Tendaway swoop and swoosh and chomp, chomp, chomp. Then Red Panda got stuck in, giving Tendaway a good clean. Yeah, if you fancy that, you can have a go being a Red Panda right now, giving him a good clean. And then Antelope started singing her song for Tendue. That was day 1. Day 2 was pretty much exactly the same, but this time, when the straws came along, who's going to get picked out this time? Tell you what, Lewis, I know you do a fantastic elephant. Can you make an elephant shape for us? Okay, so we've got Lewis as our elephant here. Mike, you Bunny with you, so maybe Bunny's going to get picked if you want to be there, Bunny. We do have a red panda there as well, so Rojo, you can stay with us. Donald, what animal are you going to be? Can let's see if I can work out what animal you're going to be. We've got I think that's a lioness that Babasi has got there. It can't be a panther because I don't think there would be panthers in the jungle. But maybe it's a dark lioness, a lioness in shadow, perhaps. And what are you there, Donald?
A monkey.
A monkey. Ah, yes, of course. What else could Donald be, really? I thought, to be honest, I thought you might choose to be a bear, but that monkey makes sense. How about you, John? What animal are you? You're very right, Babasi. The Jungle Book does have a panther in it. You can take that up with Rudyard Kipling. Sorry, John, what are you saying?
I thought I'd be a gorilla.
A gorilla? Yeah, I suppose you can... Oh, gorillas in this part of the jungle. Yeah, I suppose you can be a gorilla. We'll let you be a gorilla. Okay, right, so we've got a gorilla, we got a monkey, we got an elephant, we got a red panda, we got a bunny. They might be, Pauline. I tell you what. If your camera's off, we got a bunny as well. If your camera's off, but you want to let us know what animal you would like to be, chuck it in the chat. You can do that as well. We got an elephant as well, haven't we? Yep. Thank you for reminding me. Others that we had, there would be more bison. There will be more antelope. Don't forget the crocodiles as well. Maybe we can have a crocodile here. Maybe you folks there at the World Storytelling Cafe in Marrakesh, maybe you could be our crocodiles. Okay, we've got a toucan in the mix as well. Do you know what? I don't know whether Tendue ever ate any birds, but I can see why the birds might want to put themselves in the mix, because you know they'd be wanting to save the jungle as well, wouldn't they? So all of those animals were there waiting for... Oh, that's cunning. Toucan is deliberately sacrificing herself, thinking that maybe the beak and claws are going to stick in his throat and that could kill him off and end this story nice and early. Oh, that's a beautiful idea. Let's hope you get the shortest straw then, Toucan. I think that would be a brilliant way to get Tendue out of this story. Okay, so let's have that drum roll, if you don't mind, Babasi. And everybody else, you can do a little drum roll as well. And the animal that got the shortest straw was... monkey. Sorry, Donald, you're going to be the one getting gobbled today. Really, really sorry about that. The next shortest straw, I do apologise, I'm getting a phone call, and this might be important. Something I didn't mention is that my father went into hospital today, and I've now got him on the phone. So, hello, Father, you are live at the World Storytelling Cafe. What's the situation?
Wishing well for us.
You're at the World Storytelling Cafe. Do you want to call Emma? Do you want to call Emma? I hope he heard me suggest calling his daughter-in-law. It's okay. He sounded happy. He sounded fine and healthy. So I'm sure if it was anything I needed to worry about, I would have.
Best wishes from worldstorytellingcafe.com.
Thank you very much, Babasi. Literally, my phone will only make a noise if it's him calling, or if it's the hospital calling. That's why I'm afraid I had to answer that. But thank you ever so much for all of your love and best wishes. I will definitely pass those on to him when I next speak to him. So, who was it who just got the shortest straw? It was Monkey, wasn't it? Monkey is the one who's going to be eaten. But of course, Monkey accepted. It's for the good of the jungle. So the next shortest straw, drumroll please, who is going to have the horrible job of cleaning that sweaty beast. That short straw went to Toucan. Sorry, Toucan, you're going to be doing the job of getting under those armpits, and well, you're going to be able to do this, really, aren't you? Because you basically got feathers there to do all of the cleaning. A feather flannel, that's what you can be. And the final of the short straws. This one is going to. It's gone to Bunny. Bunny, how's your singing voice? What's your singing voice like, Bunny? Oh, we're just waiting for Bunny.
Not as good as my sex drive.
Ah, okay. So
it's not bad.
That sounds to me like you've got plenty of good stories to tell then. I mean, if you've got plenty of children, then you must be good at telling stories, right? Excellent. Fantastic. Thank you very much, Bunny. I will let you put yourself back on mute, realizing that was a very appropriate thing for a bunny on a children's storytelling cafe appearance to do. And let's see who then is going, or how all of these animals are getting over to Tendue, because they're all making their way down to the river to find the tallest tree. And Monkey, of course, was able to get there by swinging through the trees. So Monkey wasn't going to be late. Monkey arrived just in time for Tendue to do, what was it? Swoop and swoosh and chomp, chomp, chomp. Then Toucan arrived, obviously flying through the sky, no problem at all to get there, take a little dip in the river and get under those armpits and scrabble around. Absolutely disgusting. Yep, you're right, Adela, but I'm sorry, that was the straw that you got. And then Bunny started sharing many, many stories, keeping Tendue laughing well into the night, actually until he fell asleep. So thank you very much for that, Bunny. Then the following day, all of the animals got ready to pick their straws. This was the third day. And if you know anything about stories, you know the third day is when the exciting thing happens, isn't it? The third day. That's why if you are watching this on YouTube or Facebook, you know that this is the third time I'm telling you, get here in the World Storytelling Cafe. It's the third time, so you've got to do it now, assuming, of course, it's between 6 and 7. If you're watching it on catch-up, that's not going to work. You'll go there and, well, you'll see something completely different. But if it's Friday, if it's between 6 and 7, you'll come into the World Storytelling Cafe and you'll get children's stories. Maybe not this one, if it's a different Friday, but you'll still get children's stories. Anyway, we've got all of these straws, and we need to find out who is going to get picked. Does anybody want to change their animal? Is anybody happy? I mean, Donald, your monkey got eaten. You can be a different monkey, or you can be a different animal.
Giraffe.
You're going to be a giraffe, are you, Babasi? Okay, so we got a giraffe. We've got a tortoise from Mike. Let's hope you don't get picked, because you might not make that for midday. Who else? Are you happy to still be an elephant, Lewis?
Lewis is gone. Oh, there he is. He's going to swim.
What would you like to be now?
This is a sea animal, actually.
A sea animal?
Yes, it's one of my favorites.
Yeah?
The rest of the sea animals. My favorite sea animal, a drum roll.
All right, let's get the drum roll for the sea animal. Lewis's favourite sea animal is...
the shark.
The shark. Oh, fantastic choice.
Because he has got a big teeth, as
Mhm.
right. He's using little fish,
Yeah.
usually.
Okay.
And we don't like humans eating the sharks. See,
Do you know the thing that I love about sharks? Like their
what? What's
skin is made of teeth. Did you know that?
I do.
Yeah, shark skin is like little teeth, and if you were to stroke a shark, if you ever met a shark and thought, "Oh, you're such a cute little shark," and you stroked it, your skin on your palm would just fall off, which wouldn't be a very good thing to do around a shark because they like blood a lot. So absolutely good choice. However, Lewis, I have to say, if I came down hard on Babasi for choosing a panther who wouldn't be in this particular part of the world in this particular jungle, I'm going to have to do the same with you and the shark because the sea is a long way from the jungle. And in fact, Tendue wouldn't usually take anything from the water because Tendue really didn't like water. If it was a rainy day, he would head away from anything. You know, he'd want to stay under the trees. Even being
Could have
down
been a
by the
land
river, he was
shark.
happy to be down by the river, but he wouldn't go fishing. Absolutely not. So one animal, though, that you could be would be the python. Because believe it or not, snakes are really good at going through the water. And that's probably how python would get to Tendue, to be honest, would go into the water and, oh, we've actually got a python here somewhere, I think. Oh, yeah, there's a python head. So if would you mind being a python for us, Lewis?
Sort of. But yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you ever so much. So we got a python there. Okay, there we go. We've got a python in the mix now, a tortoise, a giraffe. I think we've got a fair whack of animals. We're ready to start picking out our straws. So let's have a drum roll for the shortest straw. And that one is going to... That one's going to Loris. I don't think we had anybody here being Loris, did we? Have any of you seen a loris before? They're animals with really large eyes. They have huge eyes and they have gangly arms. They look like something of a cross between a monkey and a cat with huge eyes. They're gorgeous creatures, but they're also very small. And Loris was, they're very cute. Absolutely, very cute. Loris didn't really want to get eaten, but of course, Loris said, like all of the others had, if it's for the good of the jungle, then it's fine. Okay, let's see what animal we are going to get having to do the cleaning. That animal is going to be the python. Sorry, Lewis, you're going down. You're going to have to be doing the cleaning there, getting under those stinky, sweaty armpits and scrubbing them down. Oh, that's a good idea. Pauline's showing you there. You could lick the sweat from under his armpits. That's probably how a python is going to clean a leopard. Oh, yeah. And finally, let's see who is going to be getting the final straw. So the final straw is going to... The final straw has gone to the gorilla. The gorilla is going to have to go and either sing a song or tell a story. Which do you choose, John?
Well, do we want to get rid of the leopard altogether?
Is that an argument for singing?
I think if I sang, it would probably move continents.
Okay, well there you go. Maybe that will work. Maybe if the gorilla goes there and tries singing to Tendue, that will get him out of the story because the sound will just get him to leave the jungle. Brilliant plan. So off went those three animals down to the river to find the tallest tree. And of course, gorilla, being a large animal and also able to move through trees, a lot like monkey, was able to get there well before midday, no problem at all. Same with python, because remember, python could go into the water. They're much faster if they go through water. So python was really quickly down by the tree, got there well before midday. Loris, though, Loris usually stuck under the trees. Loris wasn't used to going long distances. So the moment he came out from the main trees of the jungle and had the dazzling light shining in his really big white eyes, he was absolutely dazzled and dazed and confused, and he couldn't tell which way was east, which way was west, which way was north, which way was down. He was so absolutely baffled, and he kept meeting the same tree, meeting the same flower. He was sure something was going wrong, because eventually the sun did get high enough that it came away from the horizon, and it was easier for him to see what was on the horizon. But by the time the sun had got that high, it meant it was directly overhead. That meant it was midday. He realized he was late. Maybe Tendaway wouldn't notice. Maybe the gorillas singing would have got rid of him already. He looked around and he saw the tall tree down by the river, and he made a beeline for it as quick as he could. And when he got there, gorilla wasn't there. Python wasn't there. Tendaway was there. Tendaway was there just picking something out from his claws. And so Loris said, "Oh, where is Python? Where is gorilla?" And Tendaway replied, "Oh, they're here. In my belly! Oh, yes, Loris, you are very, very late. And as per the terms and conditions of our agreement, that means every single animal in the jungle is now going to end up in my belly. The whole jungle is going to die. It's all your fault. And we're starting with you." Loris felt so down in that moment. His mind was going as fast as rabbits, what Rabbit was talking about earlier, and as fast as Baba sees wit. But the first thing that came into his mind, he didn't really know what to do other than stop it from travelling all the way down to his mouth, and he spurted out, "It wasn't my fault, it was the other leopard!" And that did make Tendaway pause. Tendaway was just about to go swoop, and he kind of only got halfway through. He kind of got swoop. And he said, "What other leopard? I'm the only leopard here." And Loris said, "Oh, well, I know you were, but this other leopard came along and wanted to eat me, and I said, well, you can't eat me because I've got to go to our leopard, Tendaway, who's going to eat me instead in order to save the whole jungle." And well, this other leopard, he laughed at that. He said, well, if your leopard needs animals to go to him in order to be eaten, he must be the weakest, most pathetic leopard in the world. And well, he was going to be the king of the jungle if that was the only leopard here. He said he would have to take you on and beat you up. Well, I bet you can imagine how that made Tendaway feel. Tendaway just said, "What? He thinks he can take me? He thinks I'm weak? He thinks I'm pathetic? He thinks I'm like Baba C? Well, that is not going to be the case, Loris. You take me to this other leopard and I will show him." Loris hadn't really thought about that part. He hadn't expected this reaction from Tendaway, so he kind of said, "Okay, well, get behind and follow me. I'll take you right to him." He started walking off down the river with Tendaway just a few paces behind. And as they got closer and closer to the jungle again, Loris was getting more and more nervous now, his mind whirring as frantically as it possibly could. What could he do? What could he do? And then he spotted a cave down by the river. Just as he spotted that cave, Tendaway behind him said, "Where is this leopard? This is taking all day. Are you trying to trick me, Loris?" And Loris said, no, 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 he's down there. He's in that cave. He's waiting for you in that cave. Well, Tendaway did that thing that we see Donald doing a lot, where he's flexed his muscles, puffed out his chest, sharpened his claws, bounded over Loris and went down to that cave. There in that little cave by the river, he gave a sniff. Couldn't smell any other leopard. He got a little bit further in, looking down over a rocky ledge, and there it was! There was the other leopard, looking back up at him. Tendaway snarled, and at exactly the same time, the other leopard snarled back up at him. And so Tendaway roared! And the other leopard, at exactly the same time, gave a defiant roar back. And so now Tendaway realised that this other leopard did mean business. He did want to have a fight, and if he wanted to have a fight, then Tendaway was going to give him a fight. But this other leopard did look quite big and chunky and strong. I mean, if Tendaway reminded us of Donald, that other leopard reminded Tendaway of Donald. That's how big and meaty and strong it was. But of course, Tendaway had an advantage, didn't he? He was up on a rocky ledge. That other leopard was down below. Tendaway had gravity on his side. He'd be able to launch himself down and be heading down with that extra acceleration. What was it, 9.8 G-force or something? I can't remember my science, but he would land on him with all of that full force, and he'd be able to smash him down into the ground. He would definitely break a few bones in that moment. He was definitely going to win this battle. No trouble at all. And Tendaway did that thing that cats do. Anybody here got a cat? Anybody here seen the cats wiggle their bum before they pounce? Yeah, you seen that? Yeah, Pauline's doing a good attempt at trying to wiggle her bum before she pounces. Yep. And so that's exactly what Tendaway did. He got his claws ready and leapt off the ledge. And at exactly the same time, the other leopard leapt up at him. Notice how I've been saying exactly the same time every single time. Did you notice that? Who spotted that? Babasi. Oh, Mike. Yeah. A few people noted it. Yeah. Oh, and Andrea's not spotted it as well. Yeah. Well, this is because the other leopard wasn't in fact a leopard. Tendaway had been looking down over that rocky ledge at a rock pool there in the cave. Remember, this was a cave down by the river. The water came in underneath that cave, and so when he looked over that ledge, he saw his reflection. Absolutely, Babasi. What a poor reflection on him, that he didn't even notice it was himself. But then they don't have many mirrors in the jungle, do they? So he probably wasn't used to seeing his reflection. And remember, as we found out when we were talking about sharks with Lewis, he really, really didn't like water. So he didn't usually go down by the river. He wouldn't usually go to the lengths of looking at his reflection. But I'm pretty sure Loris knew that. I'm pretty sure this story ended exactly how Loris expected. And there was Tendaway jumping down what he thought was him jumping at a leopard. Instead, he got the horrible surprise of going splash, dive right down beneath the water. Now, Loris didn't actually stick around to see what happened next. And because Loris didn't, I can't tell you. So maybe Tendaway drowned. Maybe he survived, but he came out and he was so embarrassed and ashamed that he scrabbled off somewhere. I'm going to let you decide what you think the best ending for Tendaway would be. Learning his lesson and going off with his tail literally between his legs, or doing away with him. I don't know. That's going to be your choice. But Loris got back to the jungle. He told all of the other animals about his adventure there. And so they had to agree that the real king of the jungle was going to be Loris, because he had managed to best a creature something like 9 times his size. maybe 10 times. Molly, you'll be able to tell me that because you've got the book. It was a much bigger animal than he was. And this is one of the reasons why, if you go to the jungle today, you don't find any leopards or lions or even crocodiles really going to eat lorises very much. They've even got the nickname now, slow loris, because they can just take their time as they're going through the jungle. No, nothing's really coming to go after them because they are the king, the real king of the jungle. So thank you ever so much for letting everyone share that story, Molly. I'm seeing they're all applauding you, Molly. They think that was a brilliant story, and all of that applause is for you, Molly, because it was your story that you very kindly agreed to share with them. And it's taken us almost all the way up to 7 o'clock. I've completely forgotten what time these sessions are supposed to finish. Are they supposed to finish at 7, John?
They finish. Actually, that's a really good time for it to finish. They between 3/4 an hour and an hour, which is perfectly. And you are between 3/4 an hour and an hour, which is magnificent. It's they finish actually when Louis says goodbye and they go and goes in the swimming pool, which is what he's just done.
Okay.
Molly, thank you for suggesting to Chip to do that story because actually I spoke to Chip just before and he hadn't the faintest idea what he was going to do, and he said all my stories are falling out of my head. I need a bit of help, and Molly, you sorted that out for us very nicely. It just leaves me to thank Chip and say what is coming up.
Can I, before you do that, John, is it all right if I just put a little plug for the book that that we got those stories from?
Why not?
Thank you very much.
Chip, do you happen to have a book published where you with those stories in?
I absolutely do. In fact, I might even have it here, funnily enough.
Quite amazing coincidence.
Yes, in fact, there it is. You've got a picture of Tenderway on the back of it, right there.
Excellent.
Now, we know that if you're watching this in the World Storytelling Cafe on worldstorytellingcafe.com, or if you go there, there's a little button where you get to tip the hat for us storytellers to say thank you for the story. And if you do that today, no matter how much you put in there, what we're going to do is we're going to give you a subscription to epictales.co.uk, a digital subscription, so that you can get our stories every single month. And it's just as entertaining as the World Storytelling Cafe. It'll give you a chance. If you can't get enough stories, you'll definitely want to do that. And as well as on top of the stories, you also get like little challenges and things that you can do so that you can share your creativity with us, and it's a bit like having a nice big story circle full of creativity and fun and story sharing, even some singing every so often if you are not like John's gorilla. So please do, if you want to say thank you for the story today, tip in that hat on the worldstorytellingcafe.com, and anything that you tip, however much it is, you will get to join in at epictales.co.uk, getting stories like this every month. If you want to have the books themselves, what we'll do is we'll say that if you tip, you know what, I'm not going to say exactly how much, but if you are very generous with your donation, what we'll do is we'll start sending you the books as well. If you go onto the website, you'll be able to see that's what you can do. You can get a digital one, or you can actually get them by print, and then you get a book like this every single month. So this is the one that Molly has already seen, but this is the new one that's got a story from a wolf in it. And we've also got stories with spiders. We've also got stories with really, really hairy giants. You know, they've got hair coming out their nose, that one. We've also got stories with camels, and we've got so many more of these coming out over the year. So please do have a look at epictales.co.uk. If you've enjoyed my stories and you just can't get enough stories, then head there. Thank you ever so much, John, for allowing me to mention all of that.
Well, yeah, that's great. You've just made the rest of us feel really inadequate because you're young and full of energy and producing. We're still learning to write, which is why we're storytellers. No, fantastic, Chip. And what we've got coming up is a Sunday at 6 o'clock. There's Claire Smith, who's a magnificent poet, is doing a poetry thing, reading from her debut book, which is you can read it like a bit better there, but it's backwards. So it says "Outside Looking In," Claire Smith, and she's reading from and introducing and launching is the word I'm looking for here. Launching that book on that Sunday 6 o'clock UK time, and then Tuesday, of course, we have our young international tellers, where we have young tellers 18 years and under, sometimes from 9 years upwards, from all over the world. It tends to be mainly sort of Palestine and India, sometimes Nigeria, but everyone's welcome, and they're welcome to tell in their own language if they want. So any young people you know who would like to just, and you just come in and normal, but that's at 4:30 in the afternoon. So which makes so the people in India and Gaza aren't staying up too late.
I hope you're going to get to that, Adela, because I know that you've been doing some storytelling recently, and if you're going to be able to get along to that, I'd love to jump in and listen.
That'd be fantastic. So Adela, we expect to see you there, or else I'm sending Chip around. And then next Friday we have Sarah Lloyd Winder, who is doing who's our storyteller next Friday. That'll be fantastic. And then of course on the Saturday, there's another poet coming on Saturday the 18th, and I can't remember their name, but they're a present from the British Council to us. And then Sunday, of course, is a worldwide Sunday. The Sunday week is the worldwide story round. That's all stuff that's happening. It's all happening here on the world storytellingcafe.com. Meanwhile, Chip Colquhoun, thank you very much. Can we have one more round of applause? A rousing round.
Thank you very much. My cat has just arrived a little bit too late to take the part of the leopard. You usually do that, don't you?
Hello, cat. Right. Besides,
Thank you ever much,
one should
everyone.
never share the stage
you,
with
Chip.
animals or children.
Or John Rowe.
Yeah, well, that's another thing altogether. Right, see you all. Bye, Baba. See you. Bye, Donald. Bye, Mike, and Chip and Molly, and see some
Chip.
of you in a field later this year. I hope.
I want to borrow that story.
Yay!
Of course you can. Please do. Share it
But you
around.
know
Let
you
everybody
proved
know who
something.
the real king of the jungle is.
Me.
Yeah, but I thought I'd left you there, Baba. See, and what happened? You kind of made your way home. In the big bird.
That was a good one, John Rowe. That was a good one. I still love you like a brother.
Okay, see you, man.
Everyone
Bye,
take care.
everyone.
Peace.
Ciao.
Bye, everyone.
And yes, Mike, Urban Jungle.
Bye. Only saying bye.